So, the king commissioned a state-of-the-art ship. This ship would be bigger, faster, much better than any prior ship that he had ever had. It also had the ability to bring in far more cargo each month, therefore increasing revenues for his kingdom. The king invested significant funds from the royal treasury in order to ensure that the ship would be delivered on time and ready to sail. The shipbuilders did deliver the ship right on time and to the king's exact specifications. However, it required a crew of 100, and nobody had recruited that crew or thought about training someone to actually run the ship. So the ship sat idle in the harbor for 90 days. Despite all the promise of huge financial reward, the ship was producing nothing. Finally, a skeleton crew of 50 was assembled and trained, and the ship had its maiden voyage 90 days after being delivered to the king. However, with half the crew to run optimally, it didn't deliver on its true return on investment. Now, this metaphor is credited to the change management consulting firm Prosky, but does this sound familiar? How many of you have had a piece of technology that sits idle or underutilized? Sometimes it can be down to a misalignment between what the product said it would do and what it actually does, but more often it's a case of so much focus being on bringing the tool in that insufficient time has actually been dedicated to thinking about how to effectively deploy it. The reality is, successfully deploying new technology is hard. Legatics has been rolling out its legal transaction management software with its customers for over 5 years now. Some of our rollouts have been more successful than others, but we've learned a lot along the way, and we are now at a point where our software is considered business as usual within many departments within our customers. So today, I wanted to share my 3 key tips for turbocharging legal tech adoption within your organization. Tip number 1, collaboration is key. A close collaboration between vendor and customer is essential. Successful rollout should not be the sole responsibility of one or the other. In terms of the vendor-customer relationship, the reality is that the vendor knows its product better than the customer, and it will have seen themes emerge from what has gone well with successful rollouts with other firms. However, the customer knows its organization better than the vendor, and will be best placed to advise where a proposed course of action may not work because of cultural or structural nuances within the organization. Ask your vendor to share ideas. Keep an open mind, but be willing to challenge where you think something may not work because of knowledge that you have about your own organization. The reality is, the business model for most technology providers links usage to contract values. So successful adoption and rollout should be a shared goal. Lean on your vendors to help you to achieve it. Tip number 2, collectively define success criteria at the outset. Successful rollout does not mean the same for everyone. Generally, there'll be some form of return on investment that's sought from bringing in a new piece of technology, whether that's reducing risk, minimizing staff attrition, increasing profitability, improving client experience, or maybe winning more client work. Actually define at the outset what success means for you. Success may actually change over time as well, so separate out what success means in the first year of a rollout from what success looks like over the longer term. And be realistic about what's achievable and over what time frame, based on resource constraints and how much technical training may be required for a particular tool. Tip number 3, identify your champions and leverage early success. Your vendor can actually help here with identifying champions within your organization. Think about inviting your vendor along to internal events such as partners conferences, where they'll actually have the opportunity to demonstrate directly to them new technology that you have and identify those partners who get excited about a new piece of technology and are willing to put their name behind it and advocate for its use in front of their teams. Generally speaking, in order to get successful rollout, you want to see usage within the first 90 days of bringing in a new piece of technology. And in our experience, the most successful rollouts involve initial usage within the first 30 days. So ideally, you have your first deal that's lined up and ready to go, but if you don't, lean on these partners to be able to help identify some early opportunities for usage and get them to do role modeling, to advocate within their teams to actually get it used. Once you've actually had some successful usage, think about how you can expand the awareness about the product as well. Work with your vendor to create success stories based on usage within your organization. Nothing is more powerful than actually seeing how it has been deployed and how it's been used by other practice areas, and this helps to build on further usage within your organization. This can be done at internal meetings, such as partners meetings or other internal team meetings, but it can also be done externally with and client pitches and presentations as well. And this really helps to get the buy-in from the key stakeholders. The other thing that I encourage everyone to think about is also considering, once you've had successful practical usage, where are there opportunities externally to actually shout about this, and consider forms of press releases. I've been amazed how often, despite internal initiatives, that individual users within organizations actually find out about a new tool when there's been an external press release. So, to enable you to set sail on your state-of-the-art ship as soon as possible and make the maximum possible voyages, I'd really encourage you to think about how you can collaborate with your vendor in order to share ideas and define strategies for adoption and rollout. Collectively define the success criteria at the outset and write that down so you can refer back to it throughout the course of your relationship with your vendor. And identify your champions, make it a shared goal in order to do so, and leverage early successes. For more practical tips, do come by our stand, grab a donut. The team are out there in the alley, and also go and visit our resources page at www.legatics.com. Thank you.